Thank you.
Awesome. All right, well, in my classes, we do a little bit of everything. So we'll go through the whole body. We'll be doing some pranayama tonight. Our finishing mantras. I had a new mantra I wanted to introduce. I don't know if I'll have time for it tonight, so we might go back to one of our previous ones that we were working with. And the new month of May, Manipura Chakra. I had some suggestions in other classes to kind of get back to our core and a little bit of strengthening. A lot of people were feeling like they've lost some of their strength over, the last few months. And I think it's taken a lot of strength to get through the last few months. So it's nice to come back to that. Not only physical strength, but just emotional and mental strength, and building ourselves back up again, giving ourselves a little dose of some self-esteem and confidence is always good. So the postures, pranayamas, and stuff that we will be practicing tonight will gravitate towards that part of our body. Though, like I said, we'll do a little bit of everything. So, hi, Chaya. Welcome. Look like we had someone else trying to join us too, but they've dropped off a couple times, so they might be having some internet issues. So hopefully they can get back on here. All right, you all, it's 6:03, so I want us to get started because I got some stuff planned for us tonight. So as usual, I'm going to put everybody on mute, but you're welcome to unmute yourself if you have questions or comments you'd like to ask during class. You can also use our little chat box at the bottom of your Zoom window. If you're not familiar with Zoom, if you just kind of hover your cursor over the bottom, you can see the mute button, the stop video button, and then about in the middle, it says there's a little chat window. When you do chat, it'll either go to everyone or me in particular, so you might need to adjust that if you do want to send me a chat. You're welcome. If your videos are on, that's great for me because it gives me some visual feedback, and I do watch y'all as you're practicing, but not obligatory, whatever you feel comfortable with. So let's get started. Let's get into the good stuff. So my regulars, the props that you have nearby you. I always just tell you to bring everything close by, whether we use it or not, we're not sure. If you don't have all the yoga props, don't worry about it. If you can grab some sort of pillow off your bed, that would be great. Throw blankets come in handy, whatever you might have lying around. Even just a bath towel. So these can be used as nice support for the back of the head. Sometimes we roll them up or fold them to give our back some support. If you have your yoga blocks, grab your yoga blocks, any additional cushions. But one other thing I want us to have tonight is either a yoga block. If you have one of the heavier cork blocks, that would be better. The lighter ones will work, but something that's a little heavier. So I thought I grabbed it. I did, and I left it over here. A nice heavy book would be ideal. So a really wonderful way to get in touch with the part of the core that's in our front of our body, remembering that our core muscles wrap all the way around our torso to help stabilize our upper body, lower half of our body. When we learn to engage and use these muscles, it also provides a lot of support for our spine. So it's important to be in contact with those muscles. But we're going to start with some yogic breathing tonight, abdominal diaphragmatic breathing. So a bigger, heavy book will help us feel those muscles and feel that area of our body. If you are able to lie flat on your back tonight, I would encourage that. If that doesn't come easily for you, you can always have your knees bent. You can have your legs over top of a pillow. You can give the back of your head some support. But we're going to start in a supine position, lying on our backs, and we're going to place that prop on our belly to begin. So as we come on down, you'll work your way down onto your back, remembering if we lean to one side and walk ourselves down, that's generally a little easier for the back. And once we come on down to the back, let's start by bending those knees. Floating the hips up and kind of evening out our clothing here so we don't have any creases or wrinkles that we're lying on top of. If we have ponytails, we need to move them out of the way so the back of the skull can be grounded. Adjust those shoulder blades. You might want to slide them down a little bit. And then let's draw our knees into our body and just do a gentle rock side to side. So we'll give those low back muscles a stretch here before we begin our centering to begin our practice. Take the hands behind those thighs, stretch those legs up to the ceiling here for a moment. Rub those fingertips up and down, those hamstrings, point and flex the feet. This pose immediately redirects our energy and awareness to our torso and towards the ground so that we start to bring our mind into our body within the four corners of our mat. Draw those knees in, float the nose up to the knees. If we want to deepen the stretch for the back and the root of the neck, take a nice deep breath in. And then this next exhale is where we're going to let our body flop down towards the ground. So like I said, you can start in a supine Shavasana position, rolling the arm bones out, extending the legs all the way out, maybe allowing the feet to be a little wider than the hips and the feet flopping open. And then place your prop on the lower belly, so right on top of the navel center. If you need to add support behind the knees with a pillow, do so. If you want to keep your knees bent up, sometimes it feels better for our low back. Open your feet still wider than your hips. Allow the knees to fall together. And if the back of the head or any other part of the body needs additional support, please make that happen tonight. So I'll give us just another moment here to get comfortable. Rock the head out a couple times, releasing around the neck. Try to find that very back center of the skull. Close the eyes. Poof the cheeks up with air, stick out the tongue, yawn a couple times. Whatever it takes to release that lower jaw around the mouth, tongue, and jaw. If you need to adjust the feet, the hands, do so. And then let's press that pause button and cultivate some stillness here this evening. Letting go of where we came from, letting go of any to-do lists we might have for our rest of our day, and giving ourselves that gift of being present for the next hour and so. Let's take a smooth breath in through the nose, filling our body up this evening. And a nice big exhale back out through the nose, and just feel a huge sense of relief, release, and relaxation come over the whole body. Let's do that one more time. Nice deep breath in. And a nice big exhale back out. Relax all the muscles, loosen the joints. Exhaling away any stress or tension we may have been carrying around today. Let's check in with the physical body. Mentally working our way through the whole body, through the top of the head, all the way down to fingertips and toes. Continuing to soften and relax every part of the body. If we happen to come across areas of our body that we're healing this evening, let's pay a little extra attention to those areas. Send a healing breath into them, remembering that we each have permission to modify and adjust our practice accordingly. And then let's spread that awareness back to the breath. Begin by just observing the body breathe. Watching as the body inhales fresh air, prana, and energy tonight. And watching how the body exhales away stale old air and energy. Observe any subtle movements we might be feeling. Notice any sounds the breath might be making. So without forcing or straining the breath in any way, we're going to try to deepen our breath moving into this yogic breathing tonight. So let's take our mental focus around the abdominal region and that navel center. We'll all move at our own comfortable rhythm and pace. On our next inhale, we will relax the belly completely. Allow that belly to expand like a balloon and purposely try to lift your prop up as high as you can. And taking that exhale when you get there, will allow the abdomen and belly to drop back down into the body and add a gentle contraction of those abdominal muscles, trying to lower our prop as much as we can. Inhaling relaxes the belly, it inflates like a balloon. We try to lift our prop up as high as we can. Exhaling, belly drops back down. Gentle contraction of those muscles, lowering the prop as much as we can. Continue with your breath. We're breathing as smoothly and evenly as we can, in and out through the nose. When we get to that inhale and the belly expands and our prop rises, this allows the diaphragm to drop down into the body, pulling that breath deep into the lower lobes of the lungs. When we're on our exhale and the belly drops back down and we lower our prop and contract those muscles, it pushes the diaphragm up, helping to push all that stale air out of the lungs. I'd also like us to try to add the layer of Samavriti Pranayama, or equal breathing. When you get to your next inhale, you will mentally count the number that you're breathing in into that nice full abdominal breath and lift. When you're ready to take your exhale, you will try to exhale out the same number. For example, if you're inhaling and expanding the belly for a count of 1, 2, 3. On your exhale, you'll contract and lower the prop for 1, 2, 3. Everything else completely relaxed, mind totally focused on the breath. And let's all try to cycle through one more round of breathing. So that will be an inhale and an exhale. When we get to that last round of breathing, let go of the count and simply try to make this our biggest breath of our day yet. So that next inhale, don't worry about what number you're breathing into. Just try to fill yourself up completely. So inhale, expand the abdomen. Continue to fill the body into the rib cage, the chest, the side bodies, the back, all the way up into the throat to the very brim. And then when we're completely full, we will slowly start the exhale. And again, we'll take as much time as we need to empty every last drop. Soften the chest, draw the belly in, and push that air out. Empty, empty, empty. When there's no air left to exhale, let go of trying to follow and control the breath for a moment. It will wander away wherever it wants to go. Start to feel the body. Again, notice the contact points with the body and the floor and any props. Let's start to wake the body back up, waking up the toes, give those fingertips a little wiggle, rock the head side to side. Carefully reach up for your heavy book or whatever prop you use, take it off the belly, just place it off to the side so it's out of the way. So we're going to go right into some coordinated movement here, improving our coordination, pairing movement with breath and starting to wake up these abdominal muscles even more. Before we begin, let's give our back another stretch. So walk your feet in, hug those knees in, do a little massage side to side. If you do have props underneath the body, this would be the time to slide them out of the way so that we have space on our mat to work. Drop those feet back down to the floor. Now keep the insides of the legs touching and slide the legs all the way out down the middle of the mat. Arms come down beside the body, water pump pose. Start with your palms down. Draw the shoulder blades under. Deep breath in through the nose. Extend the arms up to the ceiling and then all the way overhead. They may even touch the ground overhead. Reach to the opposite sides of the room. Flex the feet. Pull your toes into your shin bones. Exhale, float those arms up to the ceiling, pump them all the way back down to the ground, palms down. Simultaneously point your toes forward to the front of the mat. Inhale, arms reach up and overhead. Feet are flexed, spread the fingers, spread the toes. You'll feel your low back slightly arch. Exhale. Now use some strength here. I want you to feel like you're pushing your arms through thick mud as you pump them back down. Point the toes, draw the belly in. Keep going. Inhale into a long stretch. Flex those feet, toes to shins, reach the fingers overhead. For a little bit more, pump those arms down, point the toes, draw the belly in. This time, float the head up and look to your toes. So it's a very soft abdominal crunch. Inhale, head down, reach and extend. The feet are following. Exhale, draw the belly in, point those toes. Push those arms back down beside the body. Hover the head if you can, look to the toes. One more round. So this pose is a nice opening around the shoulders. Again, just getting some of that coordination through our whole body. Now we are going to go right into flowing Pavana Mutasana. Take another inhale, arms overhead. So a little bit more core work. Draw that belly in. On this exhale, continue to pump the arms, but pull your right knee up towards the body. The head can continue to lift as if you're trying to draw your nose to your knee. Inhale, re-extend the right leg, arms overhead. Exhale, pull that belly in, pull the left knee up, so we'll alternate. Arms push down as if we're drawing our nose to our knee. Inhale, re-extend. So we're having to use some of those stronger muscles to pull the weight of the leg up. Exhale, right knee lifts. We're also warming around the hips a little bit and doing some purposeful compression for our digestive system right to left. Take it one more time to our left. Pull that knee in, pump those arms. Head may lift, nice squeeze. Inhale, stretch everything out. Exhale, arms float down beside the body, palms down. Draw the shoulder blades down. Step those feet in, heels in line with the sit bones. You may be able to reach down and tickle the backs of those heels. If you have a yoga block nearby, take your block on its small setting and place it between your inner thighs. So we're gonna go right into flowing Setu Bandhasan here to start toning and strengthening the back side of the body now, stretching and opening the front. If you do not have a block between your thighs, just keep that energy there so that the knees do not fall open. Following the breath, squeeze the backside, so tighten up the glutes and the hamstrings. Inhale, pressing through the backs of the arms and the feet, float your hips up to the ceiling. Track your hip bones towards the knees towards the toes. Exhale, lower back down. Now try to follow that Samavritti breathing again. So if we're inhaling for a count of 3, we lift up to that count. And then we should be exhaling back down to a count of 3. So the breath is smooth and even. As those muscles start to strengthen in the backside and we stretch our quads, hip flexors, and abdominals, the chest may start to come up a little higher. That's fine. Just make sure that that weight is moving into the meaty part of the shoulders and not the back of the neck. And if this feels pretty good for us and we want to continue to warm the shoulders and do a little massage for the upper back, next time you inhale those hips up, let those arms float back up to the ceiling all the way overhead. Chest can move towards the chin. Exhale, lower the arms and the hips back down. Let's all do 2 more, whatever variation we're choosing to do tonight. Strengthen that back, stretch the front on our inhales, good. 1 more round. We'll meet on an exhale with the hips and the arms back down to the ground. Take that block out, place it off to the side, out of the way. Just rock your knees slightly side to side. Draw that belly in, hug the knees in, another little rock. Bring the right arm beside the head. Let's roll all the way onto our right side into Supta Balasana, sleeping baby, and just pause for a moment here. We have been on our backs for a while, so we'll give our blood pressure a moment to regulate. Take that top hand to the ground in front of the heart. Heart turns to the floor. Extend that top leg to help the body come up and walk your hands into the body to come up. So we are going to be in a seated position here for a moment. I'll give us all a moment to reconfigure ourselves. I would highly recommend having something to sit up on. So I have this meditation cushion, a few inches thick, and it's firm, so it's a nice prop to sit up on. Yoga blocks are fine. You might need additional support for under the knees if you are sitting up on a block. If you have your blanket, you can fold it up a few times till you get it into more of a firm rectangular fold. Pillows are okay, but that softness, we have a tendency to kind of sink into one hip over the other. So we'll find our sit bones. And we can just take Sukhasana, easy cross pose. That feels good. If you have another position in the legs, it feels good for the body, please do so. Adjust the clothing. Sit up tall, move the flesh out of the way so we really feel that connection with those sit bones. We'll do some of our spinal movements here and also continue to loosen the neck and shoulders. Arms float out beside the body. Do draw that low belly in slightly so that the spine can stay in a neutral position. Turn those palms up. Inhale, reach up. Turn the palms out. Exhale, float down. Right into Upavishta Trikonasana, seated triangle. Inhale, right arm up. Keep that right sit bone rooted. Exhale, slide along that invisible wall to stretch the waist. Inhale, use those side muscles to pull you up through center. Switch arms. Exhale, keep that left sit bone rooted. Big stretch for the waist. Inhale, contract those side muscles through center. One more time, each side. You may take your drishti down, forward, or up to change the stretch for the neck. Inhale to come up. Exhale one more time over to our right. Inhale, reach it up. We'll meet here, both arms up, bringing those palms to touch and exhaling to our center. Cross-legged people, I invite you to try to switch the cross. We tend to always sit the same way, so opposite foot in front. Find the sit bones, pull in through those lower abdominals. Inhale, both arms back up. Spinal twist. So we are using some of the muscles along our side bodies to draw us into this twist. We'll twist to the right. Fingertips can float down. Try to find the opposite knee if it's there. Rotate up the spine, vertebra by vertebra. Take the head and the eyes with you tonight. Open the eyes wide and peek behind the body. Inhale, reach up. Keep this length. Exhale, twist to the left. So we'd be contracting a little bit more through our left side here. Bring out the neck gently, eyes open wide. Inhale, back up. One more time to each side. Do try to keep the shoulders and chin level to the floor. Inhaling up. One more time to our left. And again, we'll meet on our inhale, both arms up. Palms touch. Exhale to our center. So time for another big transition to tabletop. If you like to crawl forward, go ahead and do so, or give your legs a quick stretch and wiggle, and we'll all eventually find ourselves in that tabletop position on our mat. So we are turning our bodies into that tabletop shape. Fingers wide, hands as broad as the shoulders. Press into the ground so we're not just locking out our elbow joints. These are the front legs of the table. And then stack those knees right underneath the hips, a few inches in between the knees and feet, back legs of the table. Draw the low belly in just enough to stabilize the back, the tabletop. Be mindful of where the head is and space. On the inhale, relax the belly. Lift the tailbone up to the ceiling, stretch the spine long through the crown of the head, and try to take that drishti forward. Exhale, pulls the belly in, scoop the tailbone under, round the back to the ceiling, drawing the chin to the chest. Cat-cows, following your breath. Inhaling takes us into that extension and gentle back bending. And the exhale takes us into flexion, stretching the muscles. If you have more tightness in those hips, maybe try to get a little bit more movement in the pelvis. If we hold our tension in the neck and shoulders, really try to poof up the back of the heart and let it sink. Any other natural little movements that feel good for your body tonight to just get things nice and loose. Toes can be tucked under if you want to stretch out the soles of those feet, or the tops of the feet flat to the floor. And remember to try to press out to the first knuckles of the fingertips so your wrists aren't bearing all the weight. One more of each, wherever you need to be. Let's come back to a neutral position. We'll give our low back and hips a stretch, give our wrists a break in our first child's pose before we do a little bit more work tonight. So wide knee child's pose, always a great option. Opening those knees wider than the hips, touch the toes together, flatten the feet. If you're able to, draw that belly in as you sink the hips back and down to the heels. Walk those fingertips forward. They stay wide to the front corners of the mat. Belly, heart, and head ground all the way down to the floor. Now, if our knees do not allow us to sit back, use your blankets or slide a pillow back there behind those sit bones. If the head isn't touching the ground, slide your hands or forearms under the forehead or use one of your props nearby to support that head. Nice grounding pose. Another way to bring our awareness deeply into our body and into our practice. On a physical level, we get this nice stretch across the area of the lumbar, in and around the hips. And if our fingertips are extended, we'll also continue to stretch the side bodies and the lats here. One more breath. On the inhale, we'll float the head and the body back up to tabletop. Stack those joints. Keep the hips level. Extend the right leg back from the hip. Pull the foot to the floor, getting that rush of blood through the knee. Adding the strengthening element tonight, those of us that would like, cross into the ground, pull the belly in, and try to lift your left knee and foot from the floor into a hurdler's plank. But the key is to stretch out the back of the right leg. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, bring those knees down. Hips stay level. Left foot stretches back. Open up the eye of the knee. Stretch out that leg. Shift the weight back to the heel for a little bit more. Add that strengthening, that element. Squeeze the belly in. Hover the right knee and foot from the floor. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, bring those knees down. So we're going to continue to strengthen here around the torso. Re-extend the right leg straight back from the hip. At this time, squeeze the right buttock and hamstring to hover our right leg parallel to the floor. Actively flex that right foot, toes pointing straight down to the ground. If you notice you're lifting your right hip up a little bit higher, try to lower it back down so it's nice and even. Pull into that low belly. Even more, left arm extends forward. So spinal integration and balancing here. The palm faces forward, the thumb is up. And tonight we're just going to try to hold and breathe. Take breaks as needed. Feel a little weeble wobbling, that's normal. See if you can maintain that nice smooth breath in and out through the nose, even though our body's working a little bit harder. Take one more breath in. Exhale brings the left hand and knee down. We should not see a big shift in our hips. If you bring that right knee down and that right hip really drops down, we probably were leaning or overcompensating a little bit. So just be kind of aware of that on the other side. Low belly in, hips level, left foot stretches back. Squeeze the left buttock, hamstring, low back is working to hover the left leg parallel to the floor. Foot is flexed, toes pointing down to the ground. See if we have equal weight in our hands here. That's a good start. Try to maintain that. Then we're going to lift our right arm up from the floor. Palm faces in, thumb up. Notice the breath. Really try to hug those muscles to the bone, pulling our energy towards the midline. So even though we're extending out from our center is what's doing the work to maintain those limbs. Deep breath in. And exhale, we'll bring the right hand and left knee down. Again, if there's a big shift there, that's okay. Just make a mental note of it. Let's walk our hands about 1 hand's distance forward, arms at an angle. Tuck the toes under, draw that low belly in. Press into the ground to hover the knees and the hips up. And then shifting our weight down the backs of the legs, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. At any time we need to take a break, drop back down to the knees or child's pose. Make your adjustments here in the hands, the feet. Feet should be running parallel to each other, toes pointing forward, knees pointing to toes. Head is floating between those upper arm bones. Rolling those upper arm bones away from the ears, but internally rotating through the forearms into the mound of the index fingers and thumbs. On the next inhale, let's lift our heels up as high as they will go, stretching out the toes. Exhale, drop the right heel to the ground as we bend the left knee to stretch out the back of the leg again. Inhale, heels up. Exhale, left heel down, bend the right knee. Now you may continue to pedal those feet to walk the dog,
slowly as quickly as you want. Keep equal weight in the hands. One more breath here. Try to find some stillness tonight, just letting those heels sink. Even if they don't touch, it doesn't matter. Bend those knees more deeply if we need to help release the back. Inhale, look forward. Baby step those feet to the hands and the hands towards the feet. So those of us who want to stay upside down, continuing to stretch the back. If it's okay in the back, we can move into Uttanasan, forward fold. Feet are still parallel to each other. Make sure our knees are unlocked. Fingertips do not need to touch the ground. You may even take hands to elbows and ragdoll the upper half. If you'd like to modify for low backs, place your elbows on your thighs with the knees bent, and that'll take some pressure out of the back. We can still dangle one arm at a time, dropping it out of the shoulder socket and giving our head a nice little release. Little gentle nods, yes, and side to side. And then tonight, let's articulate the spine to come up. So we'll all bend our knees and place our hands on our thigh bones. Turn the fingers in, tuck the chin in. Press your feet into the floor, use that core, and inhale, round up. Make sure you're breathing in. We've been upside down for a while. We're restacking the spine. Our head should be the very last thing that comes up. When you come up to standing, purposely squeeze your shoulders to your ears for a moment, tighten those muscles, and then exhale, shrug them away from the ears. Make sure you feel balanced here and stable. If you get lightheaded or dizzy, please sit down to the ground. So we should find ourselves in Tadasana, arms floating slightly away from the body, feet still parallel to each other, toes pointing forward, knees tracking to those toes. If you're a knee jammer like me, I always like to jam backwards into my knee joints. We want to unlock those knees, shins move slightly forward. Draw up through the front of those thighs. Let that buttock rest down towards the ground. Front body to back body. No tension in the face or the neck, it's just floating on our shoulders. Going into our every class pose, palm tree pose. So this will be a little bit of balance right from the get-go. Turn the palms out. Inhale, follow that breath to reach out into your wide wingspan, all the way up to the ceiling. Bring your palms to touch. Exhale to your center. Fix your drishti on one spot. Follow the breath. Inhale, hands down, draw a big circle, palms up. This time when we reach up, we lift our heels up. So now we're rising up on our tippy toes. Exhale, slowly try to lower down. That's usually the challenge. Again, inhale, fingertips down, palms out, reach up. See how high you can get those heels to come up? And exhale, see how slowly you can lower them back down. And did they touch down at the same time? Let's try one more. Inhale, reach up. And exhale. All right, next time we touch down, we'll take a break here and move ourselves around. So Sunday morning, we did a triangle pose, Utthita Trikonasana into Artichondrasa and half moon pose. The half moon pose is a really big, powerful pose. If you want to go by a wall or be by a stable piece of furniture, a chair, or if you have yoga blocks, you can use them. I sometimes use the yoga blocks, but they wiggle around if they're on the high setting, so it can actually be a little bit more challenging, but it's up to you. If you happen to have two yoga blocks, we'll start with them on the high setting, and you'll place them towards the back corners, and you'll have to turn yourself to the long edge of the mat because we want to have a place to take our big wide stance without our feet slipping out on us.
You could also bring in a chair if you have it around you. We will start, we'll go to our right side first. So if you are using a chair, carefully place it to your right side, and then we'll do our left side. So it'll give us a moment to organize ourselves. And then we'll come back into the middle of the mat with the legs touching, fingertips float to the heart. On the inhale, take a big step out, one foot at a time. And then we can always wiggle our feet a little wider as is comfortable. When we extend up through those fingertips, we're not squeezing into our neck. We're pressing into invisible ledges here with the palms, feeling that strength in the underarm and the side bodies. Our feet should be parallel to each other, toes pointing forward, and we should be anchored through the four corners of the feet. So mound of the big toe inner heel, mound of pinky toe outer heel, pick your toes up, feel the quadriceps lift and engage. Front body to back body, tailbone sinks towards the ground. Inhale, pick up those right toes, pivot on the heel, we're spiraling open at that thigh bone, but the hips and shoulders should remain open. Take a nice deep breath in. On the exhale, draw the right hip crease in. Inhale, extend forward so both side bodies stay long. And then exhale, I'm going to take unsupported triangle tonight. So that means I'm bringing that bottom hand to the inside of my thigh or my calf, depending on where you are. I stay up a little higher in my triangle pose. We do not want to lose this connection to those core muscles wrapping all the way around our waist. So if we notice that we're contracting one side more than the other, or our head is falling down, it's probably better to come up out of the pose a little bit so you can maintain that nice alignment up through the crown of the head. Now we can press that bottom hand into that inner thigh. Use it as a little bit of leverage to add a little bit of rotation here through the heart, drawing the left shoulder blade back. Our drishti may be down to that foot. It's always good to check in with those toes. Make sure the knee is aligned with the toes, forward or upwards. Now we're going to try to hold, maintain this for another breath or two, depending on the rhythm of our breath. We should feel a really tight band of muscles wrapping around our waist, like a corset or a cummerbund. Both legs super strong. No tension in the face. Smile. Now moving into Artichondrasa, and I've kind of created a little obstacle for myself. There is going to be a weight shifting forward to the right. So from here, bring your top hand down to the hip. Just take it out of the equation for a moment. Bend into your right knee. You're going to extend your right arm out in front of you and then hop your back foot in slightly. So our stance is it is strong. I'm going to bring myself away from my chair a little bit. So as we bend into this knee, we then push down through that knee, and you have your fingertips on the seat of your chair, and you really have to squeeze and continue to squeeze up to that left side of the body. The toes should be facing forward, that foot is flexed. If I did not have that chair there, I could be in unsupported Artichondrasa. So my hand is just hovering. I'm trying to bring my body parallel. Now we're falling out of our half moons, that's fine. Just come out of it safely. You can try to come back to it. Always start with a bent knee, and then as you push that foot to the ground, it lifts up. If you have that block, as I fall out of it, it should come underneath that right shoulder. So that's why it's slightly behind you at an angle, just slightly from that pinky toe. And then eventually you can try to keep your gaze forward. Next step would be to look up to that top foot. Big, powerful pose, I know. Try one more breath in. On the exhale, we're going to try to land gently back into something like a warrior two, just so that we land with that front knee bent so we're not locked into our joints. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, let it go. Flop your arms down, turn your toes forward, loosen up the hips, just kind of let that pose go. Might have been a big surprise pose. We did introduce it on Sunday. And if we're not trying Artichondrasa tonight, You can stay in a triangle. You can lunge into your warrior two. Maybe you just try a little lifts like this. So lots of stuff that we can do if we're modifying. All right, let's get back into our open stance. Reach it out. Inhale, pick up your left toes. Pivoting on the heel, you're opening all the way up into that thigh bone, though the hips and shoulders are trying to stay open to the long edge of the yoga mat. Make sure those knees are unlocked, four corners of the feet engaged. Inhale. Exhale, draw left hip crease in. Keep that whole left side nice and long. Inhale, extend forward. Exhale, windmill the arms. And also ideally, we would try to be finding some symmetry here. So whatever degree our hand was on our first side, even if maybe you can go further on this side, I'm in the school of thought that you should bring yourself up to wherever you were on the first side. Unsupported triangle means that I'm continuing to be locked into these muscles wrapping around my waist versus bringing any weight into my hand. The hand can be into that inner thigh. Using that as a little bit of leverage, continuous rotation through the heart, drawing that right shoulder blade back. Back of the neck should be long and extended. You can bring that drishti down. Good opportunity to check in, knee to toes, straight forward, or gazing upwards to that top hand. Make sure the spine isn't rounding. This isn't lateral extension. We're not contracting one side to lengthen the other. We're trying to maintain a nice neutral spine like a rod up through the crown of the head. And we are receiving a little bit of stretch in the back, inner thigh of that left leg. One more breath. So we got to practice half moon on the first side, so we'll see what happens on this side. Take that top hand out of the equation to start with. Just bring it down to the hip. You can look forward, extend that left hand forward. Now bend to the left knee. We got to hop our back foot in just a couple inches. So we have some ability to start this moving forward. Again, I've gotten a little close to my wall, so I'm going to adjust my stance so I'm safe in my space. Left knee bent. This is going to push into the earth. And as it straightens, we have to engage the whole right side. So straightening the left leg, flex that right foot, squeezing the right side of the body to hover that leg parallel. Unsupported half moon, the fingertips reach to the ground, but they're not touching anything. More challenging. Maybe fingertips come to a yoga block that's back there, right underneath the shoulder. If you're near a piece of furniture or wall and it's stable, you may do that. Now right toes flex, point them forward, whole side body working. You can extend that top arm up. We're dancing around, that's okay, just dance around safely. Drishti down, forward, or the challenge is to eventually take the gaze up to that top thumb. Remember your modifications, you can stay in triangle, warrior two, or just do some little shifts. Try to take one more big breath in. Exhale as gracefully as possible. We don't have to land in any perfect alignment. We're just gonna let that back foot come down and end up in something like a warrior two position. So we're soft on our joints. Inhale, straightens the leg. Exhale, let it go. Release those arms, turn the toes to face forward, wiggle the hips a little bit. All right, so that's a very energizing pose. We gotta bring our energy back down. So let's rearrange ourselves and come back down to the ground. Take a moment, clear your space. We'll meet at the top of our mats again in Tadasana or mountain pose. Feet hips width apart, arms floating beside the body. Float the head on top of those shoulders. Let go of any expression on the face. It should be nice and soft. Bring that breath into that smooth, even breath in and out through the nose. Turning those palms out. Inhale, reach out and up. Big stretch here, Uttita Tadasana.
Drishti to thumbs for a gentle back bend. On the exhale, micro bend the knees. Swan dive those arms back, down and around, hinging at the hips into your forward fold. That might mean we stop halfway and support the back. Or as those muscles start to stretch, you may reach those fingertips back down to the ground or ragdoll. And take a moment to stretch out the back body, letting the weight of the world melt off our shoulders here. Hands to shin bones. Inhale, lift the heart, squeeze the upper back. Exhale, bend our knees. We're finding our mats, hands to the ground. Big step back into plank pose. So I'm reintroducing our planks for this month. We have lots of options. We may be in kneeling plank with the knees touching down. Most importantly, we want to avoid collapsing the weight of the hips. That will put a lot of pressure on our low back. So even if we're in kneeling plank, I'm actively pulling my belly into my body, scooping my tailbone under, pressing my hands into the earth. If my knees are hovering, I want to feel like I'm dragging my feet to my hands and hands to my feet. I also want to be careful of where my head is. The head gets heavy, likes to hang. We're trying to do 30 seconds. We've already been here for 10, so we only have 20 more seconds to go. Smile. Think about that strength that we're building from the inside out. Not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. Willpower, confidence, self-esteem. And we got this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you're on your knees, you may sit back to child's pose. If you're in full plank, you may float your hips up, back, and down, downward facing dog. Your choice. Find a resting pose to take a breath or two. My down dog people, inhale, heels up, stretch out those toes. Exhale, drop to the knees, point the toes. We'll try to sit back on those heels, visiting child's pose one more time. This time, if we can, keep the knees together. Support the head if it doesn't touch. If the forehead comes to the ground or the top of the head, slide your hands back to your feet, palms up, and let the upper half of the body drape over the lower half. Take a breath. Hands under the shoulders, tuck that chin. Inhale, round up. One vertebra at a time, sitting back on the heels. So here's the thing. We're going to do one more pranayama exercise here, Kapalabhati breathing. We did this sometimes back in the past. Traditionally, we would stay in this Vajrasana position, sitting back on the heels with the knees together. I realize that's not comfortable for a lot of us. It's too intense for the knees. If you'd like to try to stay in a modified version of the seated position and you have yoga blocks, you could take some blocks, just open your feet and knees wider and sit back here. So you're propped up. That's an option. You can also take pillows back there. If that's still a little bit much for our legs, feel free to bring your feet forward and you may sit in a cross-legged position. Kapalabhati breathing is a very powerful abdominal breath. So with our knees slightly forward, our belly can kind of be compressed a little bit more, whereas if our feet are behind us, we have a little bit more freedom about the belly. But I just want you to be in a safe, comfortable place. So it's not worth compromising another part of our body for something else that we're trying to achieve. So use props, readjust your legs, whatever you need to do. We'll be practicing this pranayama throughout this month. It'll take a little bit longer to explain it, but once you get into it, you'll be able to go right to it. And if you already have a Kapalabhati practice in a personal practice, you can move at your own rhythm. This one, we're going to be exhaling out through the nose. Some practices have you exhale through the mouth. So again, whatever works for you. And Kapalabhati breathing translates as shining skull breath. It's a very cleansing breath.
stimulates our Agni, or our fire of the abdomen. So this improves our metabolism, stimulates our digestion. However, if you have any cramping going on, abdominal discomfort, ulcers, hernias, you don't want to practice this breath. What you would do is practice that slow, gentle, yogic abdominal breathing we did at the beginning of practice. The other thing about Kapalabhati breathing is that it's a concentrated, forceful exhale, not an inhale and exhale. That's Bhastrika, or bellows breath. And that is also a very powerful breath. You tend to get lightheaded and you can hyperventilate. So I'm gonna come a little bit closer so you can kind of see my belly and see this breath. Give myself some cushion. So I get a little belly to look at. So this is, I'm a nice example. And you're not supposed to eat about 4 hours before practice. And I did not follow those suggestions tonight. So I do have a little food in my belly. So that's another thing. You're practicing yoga and these pranayamas, better do it on an empty stomach. So let me show you the difference. In Bhastrika breathing, it's a forceful inhale and exhale. So it looks and sounds like this. When I inhale, belly sticks out. When I exhale, it pulls in. It's like getting punched in the stomach. Inhaling. It's like taking a bellows and fanning the flames, right? Kapalabhati is a passive inhale. I'm exhaling so forcefully that when I just relax, air is going to be sucked into my lungs. I'm not trying to sniff air in. It will come naturally. So Kapalabhati will look something like this. So every time I exhale, my abdominal muscles should be snapping inward. It can feel very awkward, especially if you've never done this before. If you get the cramping, it feels uncomfortable, let it go. Just breathe simply, okay? This is like most pranayamas, a more advanced practice of our yoga. So we want to practice it with patience with our bodies. All right, so let's give it a go. Tonight, we're just gonna do a round, or try to do a round of 50 exhales, that's it. Through the month, we may increase a little bit. If you're seated back on your heels, still in Vrajasana, and they're okay still there, you simply rest your palms down on your thighs. You wanna sit up tall, you may close your eyes at any point. If it helps you concentrate, place one hand on your abdomen. Now to start, we always start on an exhale. So on the inhale, breathe in fully, abdomen will expand. Exhale, fully belly comes in. Maybe seem counterintuitive to start on an exhale, but we're gonna try it. So then we're gonna exhale, 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 exhale. So you're exhaling out the nose as best you can. And every exhale, you're snapping those abdominal muscles in. And if you need to slow your pace down, slow it down. Remember, do not try to suck air in forcefully. Just relax after each contraction, and some air should be coming in. Keep going. If you get out of rhythm, the abdominal muscles get out of whack, just pause, take a break, and start over. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. And completely relax. The breath will go wherever it wants to. Let it go. Relax the abdominal area, but keep your focus and concentration on the navel center. And simply observe. Observe without judgment any physical sensations that came up, any emotional sensations.
Any feelings that came up? Once you feel like your breathing has come back to an easy rate, the abdomen has relaxed a little bit, we'll softly open those eyes back up. And if you've been in cross-legged position, feel free to uncross your legs, give them a wiggle. If you're still sitting back in Uttanasan, walk your hands forward. You may either do a single leg stretch from tabletop like we did earlier, getting that blood flowing back down through the knees. You may move into downward facing dog one more time to get the blood flowing and the legs stretched out. And then we're going to meet back down on the ground, shift our hips over to one side, and bring our feet forward. So it is time to come back down to the ground. Hopefully we've stimulated those muscles to the point where they're now ready to take a break and relax. You may walk yourself down on one side to your back. If you want to do our slow roll down, planting the soles of those feet, allowing the knees to be wider than the hips, reaching the fingertips forward. We draw those abdominal muscles back in, but this time we are trying to round through our back, touching every part of our back through the sacrum, the low back, the mid back, the shoulders, upper back, back of the head. Once we get down to the ground, stretch the arms overhead, stretch the legs out, point and flex the feet, spread the fingers, stretch out those abdominal muscles. Let that back gently arch. Exhale, float those arms down, step the feet in. Hug the knees into the body, gentle rock side to side. We'll finish our asana practice with a spinal twist to help release those abdominal muscles even more. Keep the knees together, feet parallel, reach the arms up from the shoulders. Exhale, lower the knees to the right. Slide a prop under that right thigh if it doesn't easily touch. Right hand on top thigh to deepen the twist. Sink the left shoulder in the ground, turn the head to the left. Close the eyes, slow the breathing down as we come to the end of our practice. Relax the face, the mouth, tongue, and jaw. Relax the throat and the shoulders. Inhale, head and knees come up to center. If you feel like you need to drop the feet and readjust the clothing or low back, do so. Knees together, feet parallel. Exhale, knees to the left. Add props as needed. Left hand to top thigh to deepen the twist. Sink the shoulders into the ground. Turn the head to the right. Close the eyes. Surrender the weight of the body to gravity. And let gravity help bring everything out. Exhaling away any tension, stiffness, or tightness. Next inhale, we'll bring the head and knees back to center. Make sure the head is realigned with the spine. Reaching those arms up as much as we can around our shin bones. Floating the head back up, nose to knees. Giving our body a nice big squeeze. And showing ourselves and our bodies some gratitude. Mentally telling ourselves and our bodies how much we love and appreciate them tonight. Take a deep breath in. And our next exhale, we get to let it all go. Flopping the body back down to the ground where we started. So if you'd like to add additional props for the body this evening, under the back, the head, the legs, or the knees, do so. You may also want to add props on top of the body, blankets and pillows, eye coverings. You can stretch those legs back out in Shavasana or have the knees bent if it's more comfortable. Allow those arm bones to roll open beside the body, palms up. Rock out the head, poof the cheeks with air. Swallow a couple times, releasing that mouth, tongue, and jaw. So I'll guide us through just a little bit more relaxation. We'll have a moment of some peace and quiet. Then I'll use the singing bowl to bring us up to a seat to finish our practice tonight. Relax all the little muscles across the face, softening the forehead and brow. Relax the eyebrow center. With the lips softly touching, release the tongue and lower jaw to gravity. Relax the throat, across the chest, soften the heart and the back of the heart. Feel the weight of the limbs, relaxing all the way down the arms and to the hands and fingertips. Relaxing all the way down the legs, from the hips, through the knees, into the feet and toes. Relax all the way around the torso, from the back to the sides to the front. Relax the belly completely. All of the abdominal muscles and internal organs. Notice a subtle rise and fall of the belly with the breath. The breath is easy, quiet, and calm. If the mind wanders, gently bring it back to this peaceful breath, or focus the mind's eye at our navel center, our place of courage, self-esteem, and giving ourselves one more moment today to let go, to relax, and to sink into Shavasana.
coming back to the natural breath in the body. Start to breathe some life back into that body, waking up the toes, wake up the fingertips, rock the head side to side, rolling the ankles, the wrists. Inhaling, arms back overhead for a long body stretch. Stretch out the legs, point and flex the feet. Lengthen the right side a little bit more. Stretch and lengthen the left side a little bit more. Big breath in, come back to center, spread those fingers and toes. On the exhale, float those arms down, step the feet in, hug the knees to the body, gentle rock side to side. And then bring the right arm beside the head, rolling all the way over onto that right side into our fetal position. Allow the top hand to fall to the floor in front of the heart, pausing for a moment. Keeping the eyes soft or closed, press into the ground, walk the body back up, where we will revisit any comfortable seated posture. Find those sit bones, sit up nice and tall through the whole length of the spine to the crown of the head. At this point, taking Shin Mudra in the hands, index finger to thumbs, the other 3 fingers extended, resting the hands on the knees, palms up. So we'll practice our finishing mantras tonight, Om Purnamada, and then Om Shanti. Feel free to join in or simply sit with your breath for another moment. Taking a deep breath in to begin. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat. And then being mindful of our surroundings, float the arms back out beside the body, palms up. Another big breath in through the nose. Let's reach those arms all the way back up overhead and gather up everything we need for the rest of our night. Turn the palms back out, exhaling, float the fingertips all the way back down to the ground and let go of all that other junk we don't need tonight. And once again, inhale those arms up. This time, bringing the palms to touch, exhaling the hands to our heart, humbly bowing our heads down to our heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and remembering to be grateful to anyone else that made it possible for us to practice our yoga together tonight. And I thank each